Hey everyone, and welcome back to Project Dead World. Dead World is the name of an upcoming data pack that's going to change the aesthetics of your Minecraft experience. And right now I'm flying over all of the village types that we have ruined so far in this series. So, you're probably asking what's next. And you're probably wondering about these structures over here. Well, these structures over here are what's next. So let me quickly run down what it is we're going to do this episode. So as you would have probably guessed, we are going to ruin the rest of these structures. However, there are going to be three structures that we don't ruin, and that is the desert well, the desert temple, and the jungle temple. The reason for these last two is because I've already ruined these in other episodes, just not in this series. So go ahead and check out the Let's Ruin episodes where I ruin both the jungle temple and the desert temple. As for the desert well, as you can see, the desert well is already ruined. And the reason for that is because Richard and I used the desert well as sort of a test to make sure that the ruining process is something that can actually happen. And, well, obviously it could, because, you know, here we are. So the desert well will not be ruined in this episode. So first up, we are going to go ahead and ruin the igloo. And if you'll notice, the igloo is actually in three pieces. And the reason for that is because, well, that's how it generates, but also because sometimes all you get is the igloo and not always the lower portion. So you have the upper portion, which is usually above ground, the middle portion, which is connected to the upper portion, and the lower portion, which is connected to the middle portion. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and ruin the igloo real quick. And we are going to do it in such a way to where we assume there is nothing else below it. And then we're going to ruin the next two parts as though they are connected to the igloo. I hope that makes sense. So basically, we're ruining this one as though it was a standalone structure, and then ruining those two as though they were connected to the standalone structure. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so that was pretty quick. Nothing really to discuss with this. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right? So let me just get rid of that and put one of those there. There we are. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, it's just, that should go away. Yeah, that's good. It's pretty self-explanatory at that point. This is collapsed in, and this has sort of taken or gone through its paces. So anyways, yeah, moving on, we are going to do, let's do the pillager outpost. So we're going to do the pillager outpost here and all of the sort of accessories that go with it, right? So these little tent things, a lot of this stuff is just going to go away. But yeah, the big thing is going to be this, which is mostly made out of wood. So a lot of this is just going to collapse down in. I think what I'll probably end up doing is taking off the roof, and if these posts go, oh, it doesn't look like these posts go all the way down. So it looks like these posts are gonna just fall. Anyways, yeah, let's just jump right into it. Okay, so I figured this is fairly self-explanatory, but I'll go over it just a little bit. So the pillager outpost was made of mostly wood, so that would have probably rotted away, especially with the amount of weight that was on it, and the whole thing sort of collapsed in. The logs stayed relatively intact, though most of those rotted away as well, and the cobblestone, of course, with no support, would have fallen either inwards, which is what I have here, or tumbled a little bit outwards, which I do have out here as well. Anyways, yeah, that would have gotten buried. Pretty straightforward. The rest was all mostly organic stuff, so that's all taken care of. Yeah, easy peasy. Now for the witch hut. I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory too, right? So the witch hut is all wood, and it's in a swamp. Now, we do have some cases of things being preserved in swamps. For example, probably one of the most famous examples is the bog people. So the bog people are folks that ended up in a bog, imagine that, and it preserved them. The way that the bog is comprised just sort of preserved all that stuff. So this is not fully submersed in the swamp, though. This is actually above the swamp. So pretty much all of this here, all of this wood is just going to rot away. All right. So I'm just going to get rid of all of it, with exception to these posts. I think I'll probably just sort of do something like this and have that. Oh, wait, does that go? Oh, so that, see, I'm trying to stay away from this where it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, we ain't doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this, and probably that. There we go. There. So it's a little different. So it's not so obvious that, you know, I kind of went through and changed things. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take away some of this platform, sort of like it fell in. But not all of it. So we're going to do something like this, and we're going to get rid of the crafting table, and this cauldron here probably would have fallen through into the swamp and then rotted away or rusted away. So we're going to do something like that. So there you go. Oh, whoops. And probably get rid of, well, you know what? Let's just do that. Oh, it won't, I can't place it on there. Okay, so anyways, it's fine. It's fine. We'll do something like that too. There we go. So there you go. There's the witch's hut. And I'll probably, let's do this. I'll probably strip some of these like that, and that, and that, and that. There we go. So it's a little messed up. All right, easy peasy. Now, let's talk a little bit about this monstrosity. So the way this works is each one of these rooms actually generates on their own, separate from other ones, which makes the mansion really hard to do. Now, I could have had every single one of these rooms generate out in the field here and gone through each and every room and ruined them individually. The problem with that is that if let's say I ruined this room here, right? So I took the roof off and I brought it down onto the floor. Well, that's fine. But this room can also generate here on the second floor, and it can also generate here on the first floor. So while I may ruin something to look like, well, these where they're on the ground, right? It might generate up here and then have a bunch of air underneath it from whatever room I also ruined. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So what Richard did is he produced a world which was nothing but woodland mansions, and he had me go through and pick which one I liked the best, and I picked this one, and then he went through and he replaced some of the rooms with rooms that were missing. So this mansion actually has, I think, every room that can generate in a mansion, or almost every room. So I can actually ruin it as is. And then this mansion itself, once it's done being ruined, is what is going to generate in the world, in the data pack. Make sense? I hope that makes sense. I'm a little sort of foggy as to how this whole thing works anyways, but that's the basic gist. So you're not going to get a whole bunch of different woodland mansions in the world. You're going to get this version of the woodland mansion, but each one of the rooms did generate, and I just ruined the whole thing. My basic plan for this is going to be much like the Pillager Outpost, in that the wood's going to rot and the stone is just going to fall. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And I mean, it's pretty big. So there's going to be a lot of wood in the first floor that's covered by dirt. So if you come across one of these in the world, this is going to be one heck of a supply point for your wood. Anyways, enough chit chat. Let's get into it. Hey, it's Thoscalos in the future. I made a stupid mistake. You see, when I was going through and ruinifying, I don't know if that's a word, but it's a word now, the mansion here, I dropped everything down into the first floor. So basically, when you would walk in here, oh, you can't really see anything. Hold on, Richard gave me this. Let's see if it works. Oops. Okay. Anyways, so the problem was, is I dropped everything from here on up down onto the floor. Now this was still here, right? The stairs went up here and they ended right about here, but then everything above here had basically fallen down onto the first floor, which is kind of what I did with most of the villages here, right? The problem is if you've ever seen a large mansion or complex that has multiple rooms that has collapsed, a lot of times the first floor, though it may not be complete, is at least sort of standing, and it's really the top floor that's caved in and some of maybe the second floor, but for the most part the first floor is relatively intact, with upper floors that have sort of crashed through. And yeah, you might have things like the ceiling has sort of caved in and there's stuff like on the floor here that came from upstairs. But for the most part, when you're looking at it, it's not just a big heap of something. I mean, sometimes that happens, but a lot of times it's you still have the outline and you still have some of the walls. So what I did is I reloaded this this world from my last save. So those haven't been ruined yet in this world, but in the actual world, it is, those are ruined. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo this woodland mansion. I'm going to copy it and then paste it into the regular world that Richard works off of. Yeah, that was kind of frustrating and really dumb because I got really far into it. I'm talking like 45 minutes to an hour into it. And then I realized, oh shit, I'm working on the first level instead of the second level. So yeah, we're going to get started on this again. I hope I can do a time lapse for you too. I don't know. I might be going in and out, so we'll see what I can do. Anyways, let's get into it. Okay, so it's been a couple days and I've tried my best to figure out a way to do the time lapse on this, and it's just not working. So I'll just walk you through kind of what I did here. Now, if you look, a lot of this has sort of just collapsed in. The upper story, the third story, is completely gone. It has fallen through. And in some places completely crashed through to the bottom. In some places, just the second floor. But yeah, and then of course in some places the second floor has crashed through to the bottom as well. But basically, the walls have degraded. This was a jail cell. It was on the third story and it crashed straight down. There's actually, believe it or not, a lot of stuff when it comes to this woodland mansion where there's like stone or cobblestone, or sometimes like this here where it's the slabs that are just sitting directly on wood, but nothing underneath it to support it. And so, you know, over time that shit's gonna fall. So that's what I did here. So a lot of this stuff has fallen. The stairs are still intact. Most of the outer walls are still intact. A lot of the glass is broken. A lot of dirt has accumulated. This was a frame that was sort of sticking up, so I just had it fall straight down and sort of break. But yeah, generally speaking, it's just degraded over time. Also, a lot of these pillars here had nothing underneath that were supporting them. So I just kind of left a couple up as, you know, just indicators that there was stuff there. So yeah, here we go. A lot of dirt that is sort of piled up. If it were me, I would probably build a bigger platform of dirt with a lot more dirt that's built up to the sides, but I know how this generates sometimes in the world, and sometimes these things generate on edges of stuff, so I don't want just like a big weird circle of dirt sticking out. So I figured I'd kind of keep it close. So anyways, yeah, there is the woodland mansion. So that means everything is ready to go. But wait, there's more. The day that this episode is going out, so right now, if you're watching this on the premiere, I am setting up a live stream to go live and show you one of the data packs. So once this episode is over, stay on the channel and come on by and visit. But first, we're gonna do some glamour shots. So afterwards, I'll see you at the live stream.